The Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly looking to add a playmaker as they return to the field for organized team activities. They've made calls for multiple players, including Miami Dolphins tight end Jonnu Smith. But another tight end may be on the market as well. According to NFL insider Jordan Schultz, the Atlanta Falcons have received calls about 2021 first-round pick Kyle Pitts, with teams looking to make a trade. Multiple teams have reached out to the Falcons about the availability of Kyle Pitts. Nothing is imminent, and Atlanta would prefer to keep him, but I'm told it would take at least a day 2 pick to even spark serious talks, Schultz said. Pitts was drafted by Steelers now offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, who was the Falcons' head coach from 2021 through 2023. During their time together, Pitts caught 149 passes for 2,049 yards and 6 touchdowns, including his only 1,000-yard season as a rookie, catching 68 passes for 1,026 yards and a touchdown. If the Steelers are looking for a playmaker and clearly considering tight ends, Pitts may be an option. The Steelers brought in multiple players with experience playing for Smith, including running back Cordarrelle Patterson, wide receiver Scotty Miller, and even former tight end Michael Pruitt. If Pitts is available, he could be another name Pittsburgh wants to add for their OC scheme. The Steelers would likely want to extend Pitts with a new deal if they did trade for him. The tight end is set to enter his 5th-year option before finishing his rookie deal. His trade value likely isn't higher than day 2 of the 2026 NFL Draft, but could cost Pittsburgh a 2nd or 3rd round pick in return. With Pat Freiermuth under contract and a large tight end room including Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward, and Donald Parham, a trade for Pitts would bring plenty of questions, but a familiar face to Smith's offense. Still, despite already having depth at tight end, the Steelers may be inclined to make the move due to one overriding factor: upside. Kyle Pitts, at his best, is one of the most uniquely talented tight ends to enter the league in the last decade. He is a tight end in name, but a receiver in ability. At 6'6" with a wingspan rivaling NBA forwards and 4.4 speed, Pitts can line up anywhere in the formation, on the boundary, in the slot, or in line, and create mismatches that very few defenders can neutralize. It's this rare skill set that likely has General Manager Omar Khan and Defensive Coordinator Arthur Smith intrigued. During his rookie season under Smith in Atlanta, Pitts showcased the potential that made him the 4th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. He became the 2nd rookie tight end in NFL history to surpass 1,000 yards receiving, joining Mike Ditka. He did so despite the Falcons' offensive inconsistencies and a carousel at quarterback, proving his ability to operate as a primary offensive weapon. In a more structured and creative offense, with a complementary wide receiver like DK Metcalf on the outside, Pitts could see his production explode in Pittsburgh. Over the past 2 seasons, Pitts' numbers declined, and injuries certainly played a role. He missed time due to a torn MCL in 2022 and never seemed to fully regain the trust of the Falcons' coaching staff last season. Even when healthy, he was underutilized in an offense that lacked creativity and struggled at the quarterback position. Many analysts believe Pitts' downturn has more to do with scheme and circumstances than a regression in skill. The Steelers could be betting on that same logic, that Pitts is a buy low candidate with elite potential still untapped. Another factor that could push Pittsburgh toward this deal is their evolving offensive identity. With the arrival of Arthur Smith and the departure of previous offensive coordinators who often failed to maximize the team's skill players, the Steelers are seeking flexibility and unpredictability. Arthur Smith's past offenses have leaned heavily on tight end involvement, not just in blocking but in the passing game. His best years in Tennessee featured Jonnu Smith as a central figure. That experience clearly shaped his thinking, and a reunion with Pitts, the crown jewel of his Falcons tenure, may be too tempting to pass up. The Steelers also continue to navigate a quarterback situation that remains unresolved. While the organization is still reportedly holding out hope that Aaron Rodgers may sign late in the offseason, nothing is guaranteed. Should Rodgers retire or choose another team, Pittsburgh will have to make do with either a veteran like Kirk Cousins or a short-term bridge quarterback. In either case, having elite-level tight ends who can provide safety blankets and dominate short to intermediate zones will be vital. Pitt's presence could serve as a stabilizing force for whoever lines up under center. Pittsburgh's willingness to bring in other former Arthur Smith players, including Cordarrelle Patterson and Scotty Miller, underscores the coaching staff's emphasis on scheme familiarity. That pattern suggests that if Pittz becomes available at a reasonable price, the Steelers would be among the first teams to make an offer. And with Kyle Pitts now entering the final stage of his rookie contract, the timing for a trade could align perfectly for all parties. For the Falcons, it would be a chance to move on from a player they've arguably misused and recoup some draft capital. For the Steelers, it could be a franchise-altering addition. There are, of course, financial and roster implications. Trading for Pitts and extending him would likely require a commitment in the range of $12 to $15 million annually, depending on market inflation and production expectations. That would be a significant investment in the tight end position, particularly with Freiermuth still on his rookie deal and Darnell Washington entering his sophomore season. But the Steelers have made it clear they're willing to spend when it matters, and with a top-5 defense in place and a playoff-caliber roster, now may be the time to push their chips forward. Critics may argue that Pittsburgh already has enough at tight end. Freiermuth, when healthy, is a top 10 tight end in his own right. Washington, though raw, is a physical freak with potential as both a blocker and receiver. Connor Hayward brings versatility, and Donald Parham is a reliable red zone threat. But Kyle Pitts is in a different tier. He offers a ceiling none of those players possess. In today's NFL, offenses are increasingly reliant on positionless players who can create mismatches. Pitts is the epitome of that archetype. It's also worth considering what acquiring Pitts would signal to the locker room and fan base. For years, Pittsburgh has been a model of consistency and conservative team building. But recent moves, from the Metcalf trade to their aggressive draft strategies, suggest a shift in mindset. This is a team that wants to win now. Bringing in a player like Pitts would reaffirm that mentality and demonstrate to players, fans, and rivals that the Steelers are no longer content with scraping into the playoffs. They want to compete with Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Buffalo on equal footing. The trade would also serve as a statement of trust in Arthur Smith. Giving him one of his former players, a talent he handpicked and developed, shows belief in his system and vision. That trust is important, especially considering Smith is under pressure to turn around an offense that has underperformed in recent years. If Smith believes Pitts can be the focal point in turning things around, Khan and the front office appear poised to back that belief with action. Of course, all of this is predicated on Atlanta's willingness to make a deal. According to Schultz, the Falcons are not actively shopping Pitts but are listening to offers. They would reportedly require at least a day 2 pick, either a second or third rounder, to start meaningful discussions. For the Steelers, that's a steep but not unreasonable price. They still have draft capital in 2025 and 2026 and could use their depth at other positions as trade sweeteners. A second-round pick might get the job done, especially if Pittsburgh is willing to absorb Pitt's current contract and extend him quickly. In the end, the Steelers' pursuit of a playmaker at tight end isn't just about talent, it's about building an offense that can survive and thrive regardless of who is at quarterback. With questions lingering at the most important position in football, Pittsburgh has chosen to control what it can, surrounding its signal caller with elite options. Kyle Pitts may not be the final piece, but he could be the most important one they haven't added yet. The trade market is heating up, and the Steelers are right in the middle of it. Whether it's Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts, or another name that hasn't yet surfaced, one thing is clear: the Steelers are not standing still. They're moving with urgency. They know the AFC is stacked. They know windows don't stay open forever. And they know that to compete in today's league, you have to be aggressive and willing to make bold moves. Kyle Pitts may not be available for long. And if the Steelers believe he can be the weapon that unlocks their offense, they may have no choice but to strike while the opportunity exists. Because in a league driven by speed, talent, and adaptability, standing still is the fastest way to fall behind. The Steelers appear ready to move. The only question now is, how far will they go?